Well, happy birthday to me. Welcome to the Time Treadmill. I'm Ron, and these are my sweaty thoughts about Doctor Who. No, today is not my birthday, but, well, let me back up to explain. I told a story a few days ago about my very first experience with Doctor Who, walking into a bookstore at the age of 10 years old in a brand new town where I knew nobody, and discovering a spinning book rack with the first 6 American Doctor Who novelizations. The very first of those, and the first one I ever read, was this: Day of the Daleks by Terrance Dicks. This, right here, was my absolute first experience with Doctor Who. Now, Day of the Daleks is significant for a multitude of reasons. It's the first Dalek story in 5 years. The last time the Daleks appeared was what was at the time supposed to be their last ever appearance. They were categorically destroyed at the end of Evil of the Daleks, with Daleks infected by the human essence rising up and destroying the Dalek Emperor, complete chaos, mass destruction, end of story. Behind the scenes, what happened was writer Terrance Dicks decided to go to America and try and sell a Daleks television series. And so the BBC lost the rights to the Daleks for a very long time. And they continued actually to have an agreement with Terrance Dicks that if they wanted to do a Dalek story, he had to approve of it and he had to have first right of refusal on writing the script. And so here we are 5 years later, and the BBC decides it's time to bring back their most famous enemy. This marks the Daleks' first appearance in a color program. Of course, it's the Third Doctor's first encounter with the Daleks. And all of that is incredibly significant. Some of the downsides, however, were that nobody working on the show at that point had ever worked with the Daleks, including the people voicing them. And so the Dalek voices in the original broadcast version of this story are terrible. They don't sound like Daleks at all. And I mean, I don't fault the guys. They did the best they could, but they didn't know what a Dalek was supposed to sound like. And this was long before video was readily available of earlier stories. They were just going from their best guesses. However, in 2011, when Day of the Daleks was finally released on home video, a complete special edition was done, and one of the primary things they did, aside from all new special effects front to end, was to have Nicholas Briggs, the man who has voiced the Daleks in the modern era non-stop and who is an amazing voiceover artist. They had him come back and revoice all of the Daleks for this story, and the difference is like night and day. What I started watching today was the special edition with the different voices and the enhanced special effects. And speaking of those special effects, this edition also solves one of the big problems with the original broadcast version of the story. And I haven't gotten there yet, but tomorrow there is a massive assault on this house with the Daleks and their servants, the Ogrons. And in the original broadcast version, there were 2 Daleks. It was just barely a threat. And so with this edition, they ramp up the threat, they add several more Daleks, and take the battle scene and really make it a spectacular thing. I'm looking forward to seeing it tomorrow. And mark that, I'm actually looking forward to a Dalek story and a Dalek climax. But none of that has anything to do with my birthday. And so let me explain that. Aside from all of the major historical significance of Day of the Daleks, there are 2 things about it that make it personally significant to me. First, as I've already mentioned, this was the first Doctor Who story I ever encountered. I read this book cover to cover and loved it. I knew nothing about Doctor Who, and this told me everything I needed to know about the character. I was instantly in love for a lifetime. That would have been in the winter of 1979, which means it was just over 40 years ago that my love for Doctor Who began. And that by itself is significant. But the other kind of weirdly trivial and yet emblematic thing about this story, the first story I ever encountered, is that Day of the Daleks, Episode 3, which I'll actually be watching tomorrow, is the only episode of Doctor Who ever broadcast during my lifetime on my birthday. It was originally broadcast on January 15th, 1972. So that makes Day of the Daleks my Doctor Who birthday story. There is one other story in the first Doctor era that was broadcast on my birthday, but it was before I was born, so it doesn't really count. Day of the Daleks, that's the one. So, happy birthday to me. And on that note, I'm going to call it a day and go celebrate, I guess. Mostly I'm going to go to work. But in any case, until tomorrow, you stay home, stay safe, be kind, be patient. I'll see you tomorrow.